Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavad-gita Ashtadharashata Shri Srimad Design Grace Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Granted srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So do you have your device? Alright, so Om Nama, it's Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 15. Canto 4 is entitled Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 7, The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. Text 15. 4-7-15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayang.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhamaya.
Chipto durukti vishikar vignaya tanman. Arvak patantam arhatam nindayapad. Drishyardaya sabhagavan sakritena tushyet.
Drishyardaya sabhagavan sakritena tushyet.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayang.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayang.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad.
Arvak patantam arhatatmanindayapad.
Drishyadaya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat. Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayam.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad.
Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad.
Drishyartaya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat.
Drishyartaya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat. Yosa maya pita tattva drisha sabhayam.
Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayam.
Durukti vishikar viganaya tanmam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Arvak patantam arhatamat nindayapad.
Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad.
Drishyadraya sabhagavan sukritena tushyat.
Drishyadraya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat.
Yasyo maya vidita tattva disya sabhyayam. Yosa maya vidita tattva drisha sabhayam. Sittu durukti visikar viganaya tanmam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam. Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad. Tushyadraya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat. Would you like to do it? Well, if you like, you could try. If it's up to you.
Oh, are you gonna say it first?
Uh,
Or do I say it first?
yeah, you say it first this time.
Yosa maya vidya tattva drisya. Close?
Yeah.
Oh, sabhayam.
Yosa maya ditita tattva drisha sabhayam.
Sitva durkita viskar viganya tanmam.
Chipto durukti vishakar viganaya tanmam.
Arvak patantam arhatamam nindayapad.
Arvak patantam arhatattam anindayapad. That's Drish.
Drishyadraya sa bhagavan sva kirtena tusya.
Drishyadraya sa bhagavan sukritena tushyat. Okay, word by word translation. Yaha,
Yaha.
who, asau,
Sao.
that, maya,
Maya.
by me,
By me.
avidita tattva,
Avidita tattva.
without knowing the actual fact,
Without knowing the actual fact.
drsha,
Drisha.
by experience,
By experience.
sabhayam,
Sabhayam.
in the assembly,
In the assembly.
chiptaha,
Taha.
was abused,
Was abused.
durukti,
Durukti.
unkind words,
Unkind words.
vishakai,
Vishakai.
by the arrows of,
By the arrow.
viganaya,
Viganaya.
taking no notice of,
Taking no notice of.
tat,
Tat.
that,
That.
Mam,
Mam,
me.
me.
Arvak,
Arvak,
downwards.
downwards.
Patantam,
Patantam,
gliding down to hell.
gliding down to hell.
Arhatama,
Arhatama,
most respectable.
most respectable.
Nindaya,
Nindaya,
by defamation.
defamation.
Apat,
Apat,
saved. Drishtya,
Drishtya,
seen.
seen.
Ardraya,
Ardaya,
out of compassion.
out of compassion.
Saha,
Saha,
that.
that.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
your lordship.
your lordship.
Satkritena,
Satkritena,
by your own mercy.
by your own mercy.
Tushit,
To
be satisfied.
be satisfied.
Translation. It's Daksha, right? Speaking to Shiva. I did not know your full glories. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly. Although you did not take them into account, I was gliding down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. Purport. As usual, a devotee... Is there a period right after it says usual in this, when you read? Oh, it's a comma. Okay, they must have messed it up here or something. This is not a comma, it's a period. As usual, comma, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind toward him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Zach, is there any way you could close that door? Because it... Like, you know that door that separates the Pujari room? Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment, but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is a symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts a miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds. But the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma. Thinking of His grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously, and is not disturbed by such so-called punishment. Om Ganati Madandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanavatamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Kariva Achalam Hangam Langate Gadim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditaninam Vancha Kaptribhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I read the translation again. I did not know your full glories. For this reason I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you. You are the most respectful personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. So Daksha has realized his foolishness, and therefore he's apologizing to Lord Shiva and saying, in essence, I'm a fool, and I'm sorry for I didn't know your glories, and you awarded me this punishment was actually your mercy, you know. So, you know, we have that experience in our lives. We may have had that experience in our lives when particular relationships with people, and, you know, people may make us angry or upset us in some way, and we say some harsh words that act like arrows to that particular person or people. And then later we realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and I was angry. And we may go and say sorry, right? Sometimes we don't, though. But that's the idea that for the soul to cast off its, you could say, bipolar tendencies that it has with Krishna. So bipolars, you know, for example, you know, they say, oh, you know, Krishna, I love you, this and that, and I don't want anything but you. And then later, you know, the person's suffering, and they may think, oh, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? And may be mad at Krishna. But here it's saying that the devotee actually doesn't have that mood, that the devotee is not mad at Krishna, ever. And whatever suffering that they undergo, they don't think, oh, Krishna, why are you doing this? They think, oh, it's the mercy of Krishna. I actually deserve worse. But it's Krishna's mercy that I'm not suffering more than I am. So in this way, you know, they have, you could say, a steady, unconditional affection to Krishna rather than, you know, something else. So that's the idea. And of course, it takes time, and it's not easy, you know, necessarily to be always on that platform, but that's the idea. I mean, Prabhupada, he had a disciple, Narayan. He still has a disciple, Narayan. And this disciple was originally from San Francisco. And, you know, in San Francisco and California in general, especially Southern California, you know, there's a different mood, especially in relation to New Yorkers. You know, there's a different mood. It's kind of more mellow and maybe a little more go-lucky, or, yeah, something like that. And so anyways, he was into that because he was from San Francisco, so he was a whole different mood from New York. So then he moved to New York, to the temple. And then devotees were like, really like, you know, heavy duty, like kind of intense, you know. Way different mood than San Francisco. So he wasn't fitting in, and he actually felt, he was actually starting to feel a little unhappy in his condition. So then Prabhupada came to New York. And then Narayan went to Prabhupada and said, oh, Prabhupada, you know, I'm here, and I'm really suffering, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time, and I don't understand why Krishna is doing this to me. You know, why is he doing this to me? And then Prabhupada looked at him and said, Krishna is always kind, you know. That's what he said. Krishna is always kind. So in other words, don't blame Krishna, you know, for your suffering. Krishna is always kind. And even if you are suffering, you should think, like it's being explained here, that I actually deserve worse from my activities in this life and previous lives, whatever, you know, evil, wrong, you know, immoral things I've done in this life or last life, I actually deserve a lot worse. So that's the idea, that Krishna is always merciful. So I was reading this interesting thing last night. It's describes the different types of disciples. And of course, in Krishna consciousness, the whole idea is that we are, you could say, grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, we're not initiated by Srila Prabhupada, but we are Shiksha, you know, disciples. We're taking him as our main Shiksha guru. Shiksha means instructing guru. He gives us the instructions. So, And some, of course, are directly initiated by him, Diksha, as his Diksha. He's the Diksha Guru. But whatever the case is, we want to become disciples. Means Shiksha, disciples, means he's giving us instruction. And everyone should also get to the stage of taking Diksha, initiation from a spiritual master. You know, getting a new name and making vows to the Guru like that. So, this verse here, it's 6 kinds of incompetent disciples. The scriptures mention 6 kinds of unacceptable disciples. Well, it says unacceptable, incompetent. It says, Alir Bano Chito Shaka Shabdi Bhuta Kameka Kaha Prashita Shek Preshakash Chaiva Shad Ete Savakadama. And these are the 6 kinds. 1. Ali. 2. Bana. 3. Jyotishaka. 4. Stabdibhuta. 5. Kamekaka. 6. Prashita Prashaka. Does anyone remember what those means? Remember what those Sanskrit terms mean? Alright, and I'll give you the English translation. So this is Ali. Yeah, so there's the negative, and we may not be like falling completely into these categories, you know, but there's also degrees. We're like 100% in these categories, but we may be certain degrees in these categories. And also, even if we have even a pinch of these things within us, we should try to get rid of them, and then accept the positive. You know, in other words, the opposite description of these qualities. So one of Ali, those who are as fickle and unsteady as bees. Bana, those who talk back and protest, piercing their master like an arrow. Next one, those who procrastinate, who do not follow instructions immediately, but who wait and wait and wait. Those who are lazy or inactive. Those who refuse to try anything on their own. Those who pass on the direct orders they have received from their guru to others without carrying the order themselves. So, those who are as fickle and unsteady as bees. So the bee is, you know, always moving, flower to flower, always, you know, not concentrated. So Bhagavad Gita says that we want to become, what is it? Vyavasayatmaka buddhi ekeha kurunandaha bahushaka inantascha buddhaya vavisayanam. So it says that those who are on this path of Krishna consciousness, they're resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. Their determination is one. And those who are not, you know, their intelligence is many branched. There's a lot going on. You know, they're spread out. So then Prabhupada says that, in other words, that someone has to become fixed in what? Fixed in carrying out the order of their spiritual master as their life and soul. So to be like a bee, fickle like a bee, means that we haven't accepted the order of the spiritual master as our life and soul. So in other words, whatever those instructions we get from the guru, that is our life and soul. That is our mission in life. Like our friend Bhishma, he used to have a shirt. It's kind of a funny shirt, I thought. But on the shirt it said on a mission. You know, or maybe that was Bhakti-avatar. Anyways, one of them, they had a shirt that says on a mission. I think that was Bhakti-avatar. Bhishma had a shirt. It was like a picture of like a trail or something going into the forest, and then it said below, going places, you know, like he's going somewhere. So, on a mission, going somewhere, that's the idea, that we get the order of the spiritual master, and that's our mission. We have a mission in life. Like some people's mission in life is to write books about how God doesn't exist. You know, God's dead and God's whatever. That's their mission. So everybody has a mission, more or less. So the idea is we want to have that mission of the Guru, spreading Krishna consciousness, being Krishna conscious, instead of the negative. Those who talk back and protest, piercing their master like an arrow. So, there is room. We're not brainless, robots where we just, the Guru says, you do like this, and you say yeah, and you say yes like a robot, and then you go out on the street like a robot and distribute books like a robot and whatever, do Harinam like a robot and chant japa like a robot or something. But the Guru, so we're not brainless robots. So we have a brain, and we use it, and part of intelligence is to ask questions, relevant questions. So it's not that we cannot ask questions. If the Guru says something, or if a devotee or somebody says something, we have the right, we have the ability to ask question. But there's a certain, you could say, mood which we ask the question. And the idea is to do it in a bit of a humble, like maybe this person's not absolutely wrong, maybe I just don't understand what they're saying and need further clarification. In other words, not a challenging way. So like it says here, talk back and protest. Well, what do you mean by that? And how is that true? And that sounds like nonsense to me. I mean, piercing their master like an arrow, so it's like piercing. And it's piercing because the Guru, he accepts the disciple, he accepts their sinful reactions. It says that when the Guru accepts you as a disciple, he accepts your sinful reactions. And even if one doesn't accept your sinful reactions, if you accept someone as a friend or even as a bit of a student, someone you're teaching, if they talk harshly or talk back and protest, like sharp words, like arrows, it could be painful, because you're investing so much energy within this person, so much time, so much energy, spending a lot, and then the person's just like walking all over you, more or less. And parents, they have this realization, especially when their kids become teenagers. Even when they're not teenagers, you hear these little kids. Like I remember, I heard one kid, she wanted to, watch TV and play video games and not do her homework, and then she told her mother and father, "You're ruining my life, by making me do my homework. You're ruining my life." Or they'll say, "I hate you, I just absolutely hate you." Stuff like that. And then when they're teenagers, they say that too. So there's a way we ask, because there's a certain process of knowledge. That's just how Krishna set it up. If you don't want to follow Krishna's system, fine, that's okay. Go to the local university, go to the local, Mayavadi place, or go somewhere else. But if you want to obtain knowledge in Krishna consciousness, there's a particular method. And Prabhupada, when he was in India, there was a particular case where he was in Bombay, and there was this young, wild, long hair, leather jacket, wearing chains, bare-chested, aggressive young man, and he was asking a question, American. And there's thousands of people there. Prabhupada was on the stage. So then Prabhupada said, "Bring him up." So then he put him on, he said, "Give him a seat." So they gave him a seat. And then the fellow asked, "How old is Bhagavad Gita?" to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, 5,000 years old. And the fellow said, no. According to my, my study and my calculations, 2,000 years old. Prabhupada said, no, 5,000. And then they're going back and forth like that in front of all these people. And then Prabhupada said, he asked another question, and Prabhupada said, I'm not your servant. Well, I don't have to answer you. In other words, because he was being challenging, he's making the point. I don't have to answer you. You're trying to force me to answer you. I don't have to answer you. And they're fighting back and forth in front of all these people. And then Prabhupada said, what is the process of knowledge? And then they're going back and forth. What is the process of knowledge? So then it got so heated that, devotees removed that fellow off the stage. And then in the crowd, interesting enough, there's a big commotion. Because, they're fighting up there, arguing in front of all these people. So then you could say that the crowd became polarized, that one side of the crowd was taking the young man's, they were supporting him, and another side was supporting Prabhupada. So then afterwards, so devotees had to stop distributing books because it was, there's big commotion, so they got out of the crowd. And then in the back, some guy said that one of the organizers told Malati Dasi, they said, your guru, he ruined the whole program, he ruined everything. And then Malati, what she did, you know what she did? She hit him. She slapped him, in the face. And my guru didn't ruin anything, Anyway, it's kind of funny. But from that, Prabhupada was making the point that, I believe anyways, the point from that was drawn that there is a process of knowledge, and that is not challenging, but tadvidhi pranipatena paripashena, approaching the spiritual master, approaching the guru, and humbly asking questions like that. So that's the idea. And then it said those who are lazy are inactive. So Prabhupada said that devotional service means activity. So we have chanting, we have hearing, we have book distribution, harinam. There's so many things to do. Prabhupada said that from morning till evening, just engage in deity worship. You could be just engaged in deity worship. We have things to do from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. And those who refuse to try anything on their own. So this is another thing that we are meant to rise up and to take on projects, to take on services, to do things on our own. Not that it's just Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, and I don't take on my own projects and aspirations and things, but we have to ourselves humbly lead in our own way, and also follow. You can't lead unless you follow. So leading kirtans, distributing books, doing harinam, starting particular outreach programs, whatever it may be, somehow or other we have to do something. That's the idea. And then the last one is those who pass on the direct orders they receive from the Guru to others without carrying out the orders themselves. So it just means telling people, oh, you should do this, and then we don't actually do it, It's like, what is it? Do as I say, not as I do, So you should do as I say, but not as I do, right? Is that what it is? So in other words, whatever I say you should do, but don't follow actual things. In other words, I'm not teaching by example. So that's the most important thing, to teach by example. So these are the 6 kinds of, you could say, it says incompetent disciples. So we want to, all of these qualities, we want to reverse them into the positive and be a good disciple. So yes, in conclusion, a devotee will realize his mistakes or her mistakes and not blame Krishna for them, but will accept that whatever their difficulty they're undergoing is actually due to their own actions. And in order to rectify themselves, they will prove that they're sorry in so many ways, trying to prove that they're worthy of a relationship with Krishna again. And one of the main ways they do that is by following the order of their spiritual master. So does anyone have any questions or comments about anything? Yes?
Excuse me for not being back for a previous day.
That's all right.
Who's the character of Daksha in relation with Shiva?
Okay. Yeah, Daksha is a Prajapati. So Prajapati means in a very, very long time ago, beginning of creation. He was in charge of propagating children, procreation, creating children. So he created a lot of children. So he is the father of Sati. So Sati is the wife of Shiva. So, but what happened is there was one occasion in which Lord Shiva, he was in trance, he was meditating. And then Daksha walked into the room, and there's a big assembly of people. And then Shiva just remained in trance. So then Daksha got offended. And he started criticizing Lord Shiva in front of everybody. Started, calling him names and so many things. So then because Daksha was the father of Sati, she got upset and this and that, and pretty much what happened is Sati, one day she was going to go to like a ceremony or like a family gathering. So Sati, she went there, and her father didn't acknowledge her. And then what she did is she was so angry and so upset with her father, she wanted to break all connection with her father. So what she did is she self-emulated. She by her mystic power, she lit her body on fire. She actually left her body. She committed suicide. So then Lord Shiva heard about this. And then Lord Shiva, he was really upset. And then he sent all of his men there, and there was a big war, and actually Daksha lost his head, like literally. So then, so now what it's been explaining is that Lord Brahma came, and he was trying to pacify Lord Shiva. And then Shiva accepted that, and then what happened is everyone who was hurt in the battle, somehow or other they recovered. Like people got their teeth back or whatever, etc., etc. But because Daksha lost his head, somehow or other what was decided is that he got a head of a goat. So he had a human body but the head of a goat. So anyways, so this is what's happening, that Daksha with the head of a goat, right? He has realized what he did, how he made a mistake, how he offended Shiva, and because he offended Shiva, Sati committed suicide, and now his daughter committed suicide. Now he realized his mistake, and he's praying to Lord Shiva. And this is what he's saying right here. This is today's verse. I did not know your full glories, Daksha is saying to Shiva. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in an open assembly, although you did not take them into account. Period. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectful personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. So this is what Daksha is saying to Lord Shiva. So Shiva's accepting. It's interesting. Does anyone have any last comment, question? All right. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.